Hey everyone, Mr. Messier here. This is a lap guide for the new lap time challenge taking place at Brands Hatch Indy with the shifter kart. And unlike most times where I'm on the wheel, this time I'm doing the lap time challenge on the controller. To access this lap time challenge, go on over to sport mode, so make sure you have menu book number 9 completed so you can be able to access this online time trial. So going over to sport mode, click on online time trials and you'll see the current lap time challenges being held. So this lap time challenge goes on until the end of April the 2nd, 2025, where we're in a fully stock shifter kart on the sports soft tires. Your goal is to get within the 3% time range of the world record time when the event ends, as that is when your lap time gets counted, and hopefully you'll be able to get the 2 million credits. I do have my in-game replay in the description down below if you want to check that out. But first, before I start the guide, I do have counter steer assist set to weak, and that is partially because I saw my uncle Lester's replay and he had counter steer assist on, and because this thing is a handful to drive. So if it makes life a bit easier for you, turn on counter steer assist. But I still have my ABS at default and traction control at 0. Now, before we even start the lap, you can use this path on the left as your braking point, and I'll be using that when I end the lap. But use this path on the left as your braking point, bring yourself to the left, and then turn on in. That way you can get a better start to your new lap. You want to exit on 4th gear. You just have to be really careful with your steering input and your throttle input because this car is pretty twitchy, especially on that final corner. Now go ahead and bring yourself towards the left side of the track. Look for the one board, and you're going to brake and turn in after you pass it. However, with your braking, it's just going to be a very quick dab on the brakes, 25% braking power, and turn on in at the same time. You're trying to maintain your momentum, stay on 6th gear. Use the turf on the left as your cue to turn on in, and use a very quick dab on the brakes, and just feather in the throttle input to maintain your momentum. Now for the hairpin, I'm braking right as I go under the Palmer Sport Bridge. Some people brake later and they can get the kart turned in on a dime. So it is possible to be really aggressive here, but I'm going to play it safe and brake under the bridge. And it's going to be right here where I start to really turn on in and go down to 3rd gear. Be careful about the curb on the right, because if you get on the throttle while you're on that curb, it is possible to spin out. So you just want to be really careful getting back on the throttle. You can see the counter steer assist kick in right there, which did slow me down a bit. Now this is a bit weird. When the curb on the right starts, you want to turn in, let go of the throttle, and shift down to 4th gear. The throttle will engage for a brief moment on 4th gear because you're hitting the rev limiter, but then you want to go back up to 5th gear and carefully ease on the throttle. I go down to 4th gear to help the kart turn in a bit more, which lets me carry a bit more speed through this turn, and just carefully get back on the throttle on 5th gear and stay on 5th gear until we reach the final braking zone. Take a narrow line through this left turn, stay close to the curves on the right, and use the path on the left as your final braking point. You're going to use all of your braking power for a really brief moment. Go down to 4th gear, bring yourself towards the left first, ease off of the brakes, and then bring yourself in all the way to the right, and just carefully ease on the throttle and be mindful of your steering input. You don't want to turn in too sharply so the kart doesn't step out, and if you're on a really good lap, stay towards the right side of the track, and if not, bring yourself back to the left. And I'm moving this here for now. Let me know what you think about the sector times here. But here are my sector times in case you want to know what they are. But now let's go on over to the chase cam where I'm not stopping the video. So after the one board is where I dab on the brakes and turn in, staying on 6th gear, try to keep up the momentum. A brake under the Palmer Sport Bridge. Some people do brake a bit later if they want to be really aggressive with this hairpin. You can do that. Use the start of the curb on the right as your turning point down to 4th gear for a really brief moment to have the kart turn in a bit more. And you want to take a narrow line through the left turn. Use the path on the left as your braking point down to 4th gear. Go a bit wide, then bring yourself on in, and be really careful with your turning inputs and with your throttle input to make sure that the cart doesn't step out. And stay towards the right if you have a really good lap time coming in. And we'll go through this again, but this time in bumper cams. So one more time. After the one board on the left, dab on the brakes and turn in. Stay on 6th gear. Carefully get back on the throttle. Brake under the Power Sport bridge down to 3rd gear. And some people do brake a bit later for this hairpin. They can be pretty aggressive, but it is a bit risky. Use the curb on the right to turn on in. Down to 4th gear. Back up to 5th. Be nice and careful getting back on the throttle. Take a narrow line through this left turn. Use the path on the left as your final braking point down to 4th gear. Being a bit aggressive on the brakes. Nice and careful getting back on the throttle. And with that, I was able to get a 49.3. So hopefully this lap guide helps you out. Let me know about the sector times if you want to keep it there. But that's all for me. This is Mr. CA, and I'll see you in the next video.